The wind howled across the obsidian plains of Cragmore as Alpha Voss stood at the edge of the human encampment, his 6 cubs huddled behind him. Each one bore the distinctive ridge scales of the Krath people, a warrior race that had dominated 3 star systems through sheer ferocity alone. But ferocity, Voss had learned, was not enough against the Hive. "You want me to take them?" Commander Rhea's voice carried no judgment, only curiosity. She was smaller than any Krath juvenile, her frame slight beneath the gray combat fatigues of the Terran Defense Coalition. Her skin held none of their armored scales, her teeth were blunt, and her claws were non-existent. By every measure of Krath understanding, she should have been prey. "The Hive comes," Voss growled, his translator unit rendering his words in flat human standard. "My warriors march to meet them. These cubs are too young to fight but too old to hide. Your kind survives. Teach them how." Rhea looked at the cubs, the youngest barely reaching her hip, the eldest, Drax, standing almost at her shoulder with defiant amber eyes. "You understand this might change them?" Voss's spine tail lashed once. Better change than dead. That had been 6 months ago. Now Voss stood in the war rubble of what had been the northern reaches, watching a procession approach through the smoke. The Hive had been repelled, but at devastating cost. 3/4 of the Krath warriors who had marched were gone. Voss himself bore scars across his chest that would never fully heal. But it was not reinforcements that approached. It was his cubs. They moved in formation, not the wild pack charge of Krath youth, but something else, something precise. Drax led at the front, his scales darker now, scarred from training. Behind him, the 5 others moved in synchronized steps, their claws striking the ground in rhythmic unity. And above them, carried on poles of salvaged metal, flew banners, human banners. Voss felt his ridge scales rise in confusion and something that might have been anger. The flags were crimson and black, marked with symbols he didn't recognize. A planet encircled by stars, words in human script he couldn't read. His cubs had returned bearing the standards of another species. "What is this?" Voss demanded as they halted before him. Around them, other Krath warriors stirred, growls building in throats. Drax stepped forward and, to Voss's shock, didn't lower his head in submission. The cub met his father's eyes as an equal. "We return as you asked, Alpha." "Changed. You carry their symbols." Another warrior snarled. "Have you forgotten you are Krath?" "We remember exactly what we are," Drax replied, his voice steady. "That is why we carry these." Commander Rhea emerged from behind the formation, and Voss noticed she now wore a sash of Krath scale cloth across her armor. "Alpha Voss," she greeted with a nod. "Your cubs proved exceptional students. What have you done to them?" The question came out more pained than Voss intended. Rhea gestured to the banners. "I taught them what you asked, how humanity survives. We survive because we remember. These aren't human symbols, Alpha, these are their symbols. Each banner represents something they chose to carry forward." Drax lifted his banner higher. On the crimson field, Voss could now see it wasn't just a planet with stars. It was Cragmore, surrounded by 6 smaller stars. "One for each cub. Commander Rhea taught us that warriors don't just fight," Drax said. "They fight for something. The Krath fight because we are fierce. But humans fight because they remember what they're protecting. Every battle has a banner. Every fallen warrior has a name spoken again. Every sacrifice is honored." The smallest cub stepped forward, holding a banner marked with Krath glyphs. Names, Voss realized. Names of warriors who fell in the northern reaches. "She taught us that strength isn't just in claws and scales," the small one said, voice still high with youth but carrying a weight it hadn't before. "It's in carrying forward what matters. You told us to learn how humans survive. We learned they survive because they make every death mean something." Rhea spoke quietly. "I taught them human military tradition, drill, discipline, the ceremony of remembrance. But the content, what they chose to honor, what they decided to carry, that was all them. They are still Krath, Alpha. They're just Krath who now understand what humanity learned millennia ago." Voss looked at the banners again, at his world surrounded by stars for his cubs, at the names of the fallen, at symbols he didn't fully understand but could feel the weight of. His cubs stood straighter than any Krath young he'd ever seen. They held themselves with a pride that wasn't arrogance but something deeper. Purpose. "The Hive will return. Voss said slowly. When they do, Drax interrupted, and this time Voss allowed it. They will face Krath who know not just how to kill, but how to make that killing matter. They will face warriors who carry names forward, who fight not just with fury but with honor. The word felt strange in Voss's translator. Honor. The Krath had no direct equivalent. They had strength, dominance, victory. But honor, that was a human word. Or it had been. Commander Rhea, Voss said, his voice formal. You have returned my cubs. Changed as you warned. I see now this is no insult, Rhea smiled slightly. They'll make fine warriors, Alpha. Perhaps the finest the Krath have ever seen. They have your ferocity, but now they also have something to focus it toward. As the sun set over the scarred battlefield, Voss watched his cubs plant their banners in the ashen soil. Other young Krath approached cautiously, drawn to the display. Drax began to speak to them, his voice carrying across the camp, telling them of discipline and remembrance, of standards and honor. The Krath had always been warriors, but perhaps, Voss thought as he watched the crimson banners catch the dying light, they were about to become something more. They were about to become warriors who remembered. And in a galaxy of endless wars, that might be the most dangerous thing of all.